until people start filing in before I start. Hopefully my internet don't start tripping once I start playing this book. Hopefully we have a peaceful night straight through. Hopefully you got more people coming in. Look like it might be only me tonight. Make sure you get this video a thumbs up when you first come in. Well, yeah, I'm gonna like a video. I don't even know if I like the video yet. I guess I can just start the book. So when people just come in and not just hear it playing. So now my internet want to start tripping when I hop on live. It's always something. Always motherfucking something.
Return for the money you are visualizing, but begin at once to see yourself in possession of the money, demanding and expecting, meanwhile, that your subconscious mind will hand over the plan or plans you need. Be on the alert for these plans, and when they appear, put them into action immediately. When the plans appear, they will probably flash into your mind through the sixth sense in the form of an inspiration. This inspiration may be considered a direct
Every time I want to get on live and play a clip or something on my computer, this shit start acting funny. Like my internet be like, yeah, we know what you're trying to do, but we ain't gonna let you. This is nonsense. If you're new to the live, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Let us know where you from. Man, I just had this shit working. I want to stop.
or message from the infinite intelligence. Treat it with respect and act upon it as soon as you receive it. Failure to do this will be fatal to your success. In the fourth of the 6 steps, you are instructed to create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once to put this plan into action. You should follow this instruction in the manner described in the preceding paragraph. Do not trust to your reason when creating your plan for accumulating money through the transmutation of desire. Your reason is faulty. Moreover, your reasoning faculty may be lazy, and if you depend entirely upon it to serve you, it may disappoint you. When visualizing the money you intend to accumulate with closed eyes, see yourself rendering the service or delivering the merchandise you intend to give in return for this money. This is important. The fact that you are reading this book is an indication that you earnestly seek knowledge. It is also an indication that you are a student of this subject. If you are only a student, there is a chance that you may learn much that you did not know, but will learn only by assuming an attitude of humility. If you choose to follow some of the instructions but neglect or refuse to follow others, you will fail. To get satisfactory results, you must follow all instructions in a spirit of faith. The instructions given in connection with the 6 steps in the 2nd chapter will now be summarized and blended with the principles covered by this chapter as follows. First, go into some quiet spot, preferably in bed at night, where you will not be disturbed or interrupted. Close your eyes and repeat aloud, so you may hear your own words, the written statement of the amount of money you intend to accumulate, the time limit for its accumulation, and a description of the service or merchandise you intend to give in return for the money. As you carry out these instructions, see yourself already in possession of the money. For example, suppose that you intend to accumulate $50,000 by the 1st of January. 5 years hence, that you intend to give personal services in return for the money in the capacity of a salesman. Your written statement of your purpose should be similar to the following. By the 1st day of January 2000 blank, I will have in my possession $50,000 which will come to me in various amounts from time to time during the interim. In return for this money, I will give the most efficient service of which I am capable, rendering the fullest possible quantity and the best possible quality of service in the capacity of a salesman of, describe the service or merchandise you intend to sell. I believe that I will have this money in my possession. My faith is so strong that I can now see this money before my eyes. I can touch it with my hands. It is now awaiting transfer to me at the time and in the proportion that I deliver the service I intend to render in return for it. I am awaiting a plan by which to accumulate this money, and I will follow that plan when it is received. Second, repeat this program night and morning until you can see, in your imagination, the money that you intend to accumulate. Third, place a written copy of your statement where you can see it night and morning and read it just before retiring and upon arising until it has been memorized. Remember, as you carry out these instructions, that you are applying the principle of autosuggestion for the purpose of giving orders to your subconscious mind. Remember also that your subconscious mind will act only upon instructions which are emotionalized and handed over to it with feeling. Faith is the strongest and most productive of the emotions. Follow the instructions given in the chapter on faith. These instructions may, at first, seem abstract. Do not let this disturb you. Follow the instructions, no matter how abstract or impractical they may at first appear to be. The time will soon come, if you do as you have been instructed, in spirit as well as in act, when a whole new universe of power will unfold to you. Skepticism in connection with all new ideas is characteristic of all human beings. But if you follow the instructions outlined, your skepticism will soon be replaced by belief, and this, in turn, will soon become crystallized into absolute faith. Then you will have arrived at the point where you may truly say, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Many philosophers have made the statement that man is the master of his own earthly destiny, but most of them have failed to say why he is the master. The reason that man may be master of his own earthly status, and especially his financial status, is thoroughly explained in this chapter. Man may become the master of himself and of his environment because he has the power to influence his own subconscious mind, and through it gain the cooperation of infinite intelligence. You are now reading the chapter which represents the keystone to the arc of this philosophy. The instructions contained in this chapter must be understood and applied with persistence if you succeed in transmuting desire into money. The actual performance of transmuting desire into money involves the
I
use
got
of
food, but I ain't really
autosuggestion as an
hungry.
agency by which one may reach and influence the
Basically,
subconscious
a waste
mind.
of food, waste
The
of
other
money.
principles are simply tools with which to apply autosuggestion. Keep this thought in mind, and you will at all times be conscious of the important part the principle of autosuggestion is to play in your efforts to accumulate money through the methods described in this book. Carry out these instructions as though you were a small child. Inject into your efforts something of the faith of a child. The author has been most careful to see that no impractical instructions were included because of his sincere desire to be helpful. After you have read the entire book, come back to this chapter and follow in spirit and in action this instruction. Read the entire chapter aloud once every night until you become thoroughly convinced that the principle of autosuggestion is sound, that it will accomplish for you all that has been claimed for it.
If you're new
As you
to
read,
the video, give it a
underscore
thumbs
with a
up.
pencil every sentence which impresses you favorably. Follow the foregoing instruction to the letter, and it will open the way for a complete understanding and mastery of the principles of success. Chapter 5. Specialized Knowledge. Personal experiences or observations. The fourth step toward riches. There are two kinds of knowledge. One is general. The other is specialized. General knowledge, no matter how great in quantity or variety it may be, is of but little use in the accumulation of money. The faculties of the great universities possess, in the aggregate, practically every form of general knowledge known to civilization. Most of the professors have but little or no money. They specialize on teaching knowledge, but they do not specialize on the organization or the use of knowledge. Knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently directed through practical plans of action to the definite end of accumulation of money. Lack of understanding of this fact has been the source of confusion to millions of people who falsely believe that knowledge is power. It is nothing of the sort. Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes power only when and if it is organized into definite plans of action and directed to a definite end. The missing link in all systems of education known to civilization today may be found in the failure of educational institutions to teach their students how to organize and use knowledge after they acquire it. Many people make the mistake of assuming that because Henry Ford had but little schooling, he is not a man of education. Those who make this mistake do not know Henry Ford, nor do they understand the real meaning of the word educate. That word is derived from the Latin word educo, meaning to educe, to draw out, to develop from within. An educated man is not necessarily one who has an abundance of general or specialized knowledge. An educated man is one who has so developed the faculties of his mind that he may acquire anything he wants, or its equivalent, without violating the rights of others. Henry Ford comes well within the meaning of this definition. During the war, a Chicago newspaper published certain editorials in which, among other statements, Henry Ford was called an ignorant pacifist. Mr. Ford objected to the statements and brought suit against the paper for libeling him. When the suit was tried in the courts, the attorneys for the paper pleaded justification and placed Mr. Ford himself on the witness stand for the purpose of proving to the jury that he was ignorant. The lawyers asked Mr. Ford a great variety of questions, all of them intended to prove by his own evidence that while he might possess considerable specialized knowledge pertaining to the manufacture of automobiles, he was in the main ignorant. Mr. Ford was plied with such questions as the following. Who is Benedict Arnold? And how many soldiers did the British send over to America to put down the rebellion of 1776? In the answer to the last question, Mr. Ford replied, I do not know the exact number of soldiers the British sent over, but I have heard that it was a considerably larger number than ever went back. Finally, Mr. Ford became tired of this line of questioning, and in reply to a particularly offensive question, he leaned over, pointed his finger at the lawyer who had asked the question, and said, If I should really want to answer the foolish question you have just asked, or any of the other questions you have been asking me, let me remind you that I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk, and by pushing the right button, I can summon to my aid men who can answer any question I desire to ask concerning the business to which I am devoting most of my efforts. Now, will you kindly tell me why I should clutter up my mind with general knowledge for the purpose of being able to answer questions when I have men around me who can supply any knowledge I require? There certainly was good logic to that reply. That answer floored the lawyer. Every person in the courtroom realized it was the answer, not of an ignorant man, but of a man of education. Any man is educated who knows where to get knowledge when he needs it, and how to organize that knowledge into definite plans of action. Through the assistance of his mastermind group, Henry Ford had at his command all the specialized knowledge he needed to enable him to become one of the wealthiest men in America. It was not essential that he have this knowledge in his own mind. Surely no person who has sufficient inclination and intelligence to read a book of this nature can possibly miss the significance of this illustration. Before you can be sure of your ability to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent, you will require specialized knowledge of the service, merchandise, or profession which you intend to offer in return for fortune. Perhaps you may need much more specialized knowledge than you have the ability or the inclination to acquire, and if this should be true, you may bridge your weakness through the aid of your mastermind group. Andrew Carnegie stated that he, personally, knew nothing about the technical end of the steel business. Moreover, he did not particularly care to know anything about it. The specialized knowledge which he required for the manufacture and marketing of steel he found available through the individual units of his mastermind. The accumulation of great fortunes call for power, and power is acquired through highly organized and intelligently directed specialized knowledge. But that knowledge does not necessarily have to be in the possession of the man who accumulates the fortune. The preceding paragraph should give hope and encouragement to the man with ambition to accumulate a fortune who has not possessed himself of the necessary education to supply such specialized knowledge as he may require. Men sometimes go through life suffering from inferiority complexes because they are not men of education. The man who can organize and direct a mastermind group of men who possess knowledge useful in the accumulation of money is just as much a man of education as any man in the group. Remember this if you suffer from a feeling of inferiority because your schooling has been limited. Thomas A. Edison had only 3 months of schooling during his entire life. He did not lack education, neither did he die.
So that mug just cut off on its own, knowing I was just about to pause it so I could talk. Most people believe like in order to be rich or wealthy, you gotta have some type of college degree, education. Well, that was the case back in the day, but now, well, even then, back then, you didn't need a college degree. It's all about your mind. It's all about how you think. You don't have to have nothing but a vision, an idea, an imagination, and just strive to like work towards that. Like, I don't know why I cut off, cause well, I know why my internet tripping. But if you're new to the live, make sure you just give it a thumbs up. We listening to Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. As you can see, this is part 3. Like, so I think we're on chapter 5 so far. This is just the first book of the. Actually, this is the second book. The first book was Earl Nightingale's The Straight to Secret. That was only like 32 minutes, so it wasn't that long. Like, this book is like over 9 hours long, so it's a bunch of parts. But I also know people want to hear other things. They don't want to just hear this, so I'm gonna be switching it up, of course. But Think and Grow Rich is one of my favorite books. It changed my life. It changed millions of other people's lives, and it was like written in the early 1900s. So it don't matter when it was written, the shit still rings true for today. And that's all that matters. Like whatever you put out, whatever you create, you want it to last forever, way after you gone. Like I want the words that I speak. I want somebody to be able to resonate with it 1,000 years from now. Basically, what Jesus did. Like, but this ain't no religious thing. I'm not no religious person, but I do love this book. Like I said, it changed my life, changed millions of other people's lives. And if you in this live, you probably already heard this book before. If you didn't, hey, you should start from the beginning and read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. But my internet is fucking up, so I already know this wasn't gonna be no long night. I'm on here for at least an hour, but I don't know. I just felt like it ain't gonna be that long. Probably because I gotta still haven't overcame this cold, this cough. I ain't even got no appetite for the food. I might still try to eat something, but it ain't gonna do well if the video ain't working or the book ain't working. So it's a quiet night. Ain't nobody commented not one time. So that's why I said another thing. It ain't. I know it ain't gonna be a long night. So I wonder what's wrong with this book. Oh yeah, made it to 10,000 subscribers. Hey, shout out to y'all for getting me to that 10K. The overall goal, of course, is 100K to get that silver play button. But I like to shit. I mean, I like to set small goals first, like up and towards that. So then my next big accomplishment that
Accumulates
I'm
the
shooting
fortune.
for is 50K.
The
So
preceding
the book back
paragraph should
playing.
give hope
I'm gonna
and
try to eat
encouragement to
something
the
and I'm gonna
man
be
with
quiet
ambition
and
to
I'm just let
accumulate
it
a
play.
fortune who has not possessed himself of the necessary education to supply such specialized knowledge as he may require. Men sometimes go through life suffering from inferiority complexes because they are not men of education. The man who can organize and direct a mastermind group of men who possess knowledge useful in the accumulation of money is just as much a man of education as any man in the group. Remember this if you suffer from a feeling of inferiority because your schooling has been limited. Thomas A. Edison had only 3 months of schooling during his entire life. He did not lack education, neither did he die poor. Henry Ford had less than a sixth grade schooling, but he has managed to do pretty well by himself financially. Specialized knowledge is among the most plentiful and the cheapest forms of service which may be had. If you doubt
Doing
this,
pretty well, my
consult the
brother.
payroll at
Doing
any
pretty well.
university.
How about you yourself?
It pays to know how to purchase knowledge. First of all, decide the sort of specialized knowledge you require and the purpose for which it is needed. To a large extent, your major purpose in life, the goal toward which you are working, will help determine what knowledge you need. With this question settled, your next move requires that you have accurate information concerning dependable sources of knowledge. The more important of these are A. One's own experience and education. B. Experience and education available through cooperation of others, Mastermind Alliance. C. Colleges and universities. D. Public libraries.
Whenever you feel
Through books and periodic.
Whenever you feel burnt out, all you gotta do is rest, relax. That's just all it means. It's time to take a break, but you can't give up. So honestly, Tonight, I feel like one of those burnout nights for me. Like that's why I said I ain't gonna be on this live for that long tonight. Because I have been like just going every day. I'm like just posting consistently on YouTube. So I'm not trying to get burnt out. Like so, I'm trying to pace myself. You got to pace yourself on this journey through life. Ain't no rush.
In which may be found all the knowledge organized by civilization. E. Special training courses through night schools and home study schools in particular. As knowledge is acquired, it must be organized and put into use for a definite purpose through practical plans. Knowledge has no value except that which can be gained from its application towards some worthy end. This is one reason why college degrees are not valued more highly. They represent nothing but miscellaneous knowledge. Contemplate taking additional schooling. First determine the purpose for which you want the knowledge you are seeking. Then learn where this particular sort of knowledge can be obtained from reliable sources. Successful men in all callings never stop acquiring specialized knowledge related to their major purpose, business, or profession. Those who are not successful usually make the mistake of believing that the knowledge acquiring period ends when one finishes school. The truth is that schooling does little more than to put one in the way of learning how to acquire practical knowledge. With this changed world,
I'm
which
looking
began at the end
embarrassing
of
with
the
this fucking
economic
ranch on my
collapse,
face and shit.
came also astounding
I
changes
just
in
said I wasn't
educational
hungry, but the
requirements.
munchies started
The
kicking
order
in.
of the day is specialization. This truth was emphasized by Roger P. Moore, Secretary of Appointments of Columbia University. Specialists most sought. Particularly sought after by employing companies
Yeah,
are
man, I'm trying to
candidates
get
who have
some sleep.
specialized
Thank
in
you. Have a
some
good night.
field,
You have a
business
good night
school
too. Thank you
graduates
for
with
stopping
training in
by,
accounting and statistics,
tuning in,
engineers of all
especially
varieties,
comedy. So
journalists, architects, chemists,
rest
and
well, my
also
brother.
outstanding leaders and activity men of the senior class. The man who has been active on the campus, whose personality is such that he gets along with all kinds of people and who has done an adequate job with his studies, has a most decided edge over the strictly academic student. Some of these, because of their all-around qualifications, have received several offers of positions, a few of them as many as 6. In departing from the conception that the straight-A student was invariably the one to get the choice of the better jobs, Mr. Moore said that most companies look not only to academic records but to activity reports and personalities of the students. One of the largest industrial companies, the leader in its field, in writing to Mr. Moore concerning prospective seniors at the college, said, "We are interested primarily in finding men who can make exceptional progress in management work. For this reason, we emphasize qualities of character, intelligence, and personality far more than specific educational background." Apprenticeship proposed. Proposing a system of apprenticing students in offices, stores, and industrial occupations during the summer vacation, Mr. Moore asserts that after the first 2 or 3 years of college, every student should be asked to choose a definite future course and to call a halt if he has been merely pleasantly drifting without purpose through an unspecialized academic curriculum. Colleges and universities must face the practical consideration that all professions and occupations now demand specialists. He said, urging that educational institutions accept more direct responsibility for vocational guidance. One of the most reliable and practical sources of knowledge available to those who need specialized schooling is the night schools operated in most large cities. The correspondence schools give specialized training anywhere the U.S. mails go, on all subjects that can be taught by the extension method. One advantage of home study training is the flexibility of the study program, which permits one to study during spare time. Another stupendous advantage of home study training, if the school is carefully chosen, is the fact that most courses offered by home study schools carry with them generous privileges of consultation, which can be of priceless value to those needing specialized knowledge. No matter where you live, you can share the benefits. Anything acquired without effort and without cost is generally unappreciated, often discredited. Perhaps this is why we get so little from our marvelous opportunity in public schools. The self-discipline one receives from a definite program of specialized study makes up to some extent for the wasted opportunity when knowledge was available without cost. Correspondence schools are highly organized business institutions. Their tuition fees are so low that they are forced to insist upon prompt payments. Being asked to pay, whether the student makes good grades or poor, has the effect of causing one to follow through with the course when he would otherwise drop it. The correspondence schools have not stressed this point sufficiently, for the truth is that their collection departments constitute the very finest sort of training on
Make sure you give
decision,
this video a
promptness,
thumbs up if you're
action,
new to
and the habit of
the live.
finishing that which
I
one
really
begins.
appreciate it.
I learned this from experience more than 25 years ago. I enrolled for a home study course in advertising. After completing 8 or 10 lessons, I stopped studying, but the school did not stop sending me bills. Moreover, it insisted upon payment whether I kept up my studies or not. I decided that if I had to pay for the course, which I had legally obligated myself to do, I should complete the lessons and get my money's worth. I felt at the time that the collection system of the school was somewhat too well organized, but I learned later in life that it was a valuable part of my training for which no charge had been made. Being forced to pay, I went ahead and completed the course. Later in
More
life,
people
I
just start
discovered
coming
that
in
the
live,
efficient
so
collection
that just
system
start
of
giving
that
me more
school had
motivation
been
to
worth
stay on longer.
much in the form of money earned
Funny how
because
that
of the
happened.
training
That
in
worked out.
advertising I had so reluctantly taken. We have in this country what is said to be the greatest public school system in the world. We have invested fabulous sums for fine buildings. We have provided convenient transportation for children living in rural districts so they may attend the best schools. But there is one astounding weakness to this marvelous system. It is free. One of the strange things about human beings is that they value only that which has a price. The free schools of America and the free public libraries do not impress people because they are free. This is the major reason why so many people find it necessary to acquire additional training after they quit school and go to work. It is also one of the major reasons why employers give greater consideration to employees who take home study courses. They have learned from experience that any person who has the ambition to give up a part of his spare time to studying at home has in him those qualities which make for leadership. This recognition is not a charitable gesture, it is sound business judgment upon the part of the employers. There is one weakness in people for which there is no remedy. It is the universal weakness of lack of ambition. Persons, especially salaried people who schedule their spare time to provide for home studies, seldom remain at the bottom very long. Their action opens the way for the upward climb, removes many obstacles from their path, and
Tony
gains
Red,
the
what's up?
friendly interest of those who have the power to put them in the way of opportunity. The home study method of training is especially suited to the needs of employed people who find, after leaving school, that they must acquire additional specialized knowledge but cannot spare the time to go back to school. The changed economic conditions prevailing since the Depression have made it necessary for thousands of people to find additional or new sources of income. For the majority of these, the solution to their problem may be found only by acquiring specialized knowledge. Many will be forced to change their occupations entirely. When a merchant finds that a certain line of merchandise is not selling, he usually supplants it with another that is in demand. The person whose business is that of marketing personal services must also be an efficient merchant. If his services do not bring adequate returns in one occupation, he must change to another, where broader opportunities are available. Stuart Austin Weir prepared himself as a construction engineer and followed this line of work until the Depression limited his market to where it did not give him the income he required. He took inventory of himself, decided to change his profession to the law, went back to school, and took special courses by which he prepared himself as a corporation lawyer. Despite the fact that the Depression had not ended, he completed his training, passed the bar examination, and quickly built a lucrative law practice in Dallas, Texas. In fact, he is turning away clients. Just to keep the record straight and to anticipate the alibis of those who will say, "I couldn't go to school because I have a family to support," or "I'm too old," I will add the information that Mr. Weir was past 40 and married when he went back to school. Moreover, by carefully selecting highly specialized courses in colleges best prepared to teach the subjects chosen, Mr. Weir completed in 2 years the work for which the majority of law students require 4 years. It pays to know how to purchase knowledge. The person who stops studying merely because he has finished school is forever hopelessly doomed to mediocrity,
Sure, same
no
here,
matter
my
what
brother.
may be his calling.
Same
The
here.
way of success is the way of continued.
That's why I started this book club. Well, actually, keep it 100. The reason I started this book club, I was inspired actually by my oldest son's mom. Like, she got a book club. So I'm like, man, I could do it on YouTube. I could hop on live. Like, just listen to books that inspire me, books that motivate me, books that help me grow and evolve. Like, so, I'm like, I know it's people who listen to these same books. So, shit. This just a vibe spot, like a calm space. Shit. You see, I got my weed, just finished eating. Hey, I'm just listening to this book because after this, I'm about to go right to sleep. So my subconscious needs something that's gonna be like it needs positivity. It needs to be fed positivity 24/7. So dope channel will bring you salute for sure. But what's crazy though, my channel just started finally getting some type of life to it, but I had to post celebrities. I had to post other rappers. And I'm a person, I don't give a fuck about a celebrity. But my channel was stagnant when it was just only me posting myself. So I had to figure it out. Then I figured it out. And now we here. Like so. Salute to you, Tony Red, for dropping through, commenting, interacting with the channel.
Let us consider a specific instance. During the Depression, a salesman in a grocery store found himself without a position. Having had some bookkeeping experience, he took a special course in accounting, familiarized himself with all the latest bookkeeping and office equipment, and went into business for himself. Starting with the grocer for whom he had formerly worked, he made contracts with more than 100 small merchants to keep their books at a very nominal monthly fee. His idea was so practical that he soon found it necessary to set up a portable office in a light delivery truck, which he equipped with modern bookkeeping machinery. He now has a fleet of these bookkeeping offices on wheels and employs a large staff of assistants, thus providing
like
small
Jeff
merchants
Bezos
with accounting
type of
service
person.
equal to the best that money can buy at a very nominal
History
cost.
always repeats itself.
Specialized knowledge plus imagination were the ingredients that went into this unique and successful business. Last year, the owner of that business paid an income tax of almost 10 times as much as was paid by the merchant for whom he worked when the Depression forced upon him a temporary adversity which proved to be a blessing in disguise. The beginning of this successful business was an idea. Inasmuch as I had the privilege of supplying the unemployed salesman with that idea, I now assume the further privilege of suggesting another idea which was within it the possibility of even greater income. Also the possibility of rendering useful service to thousands of people who badly need that service. The idea was suggested by the salesman who gave up selling and went into the business of keeping books on a wholesale basis. When the plan was suggested as a solution of his unemployment problem, he quickly exclaimed, "I like the idea, but I would not know how to turn it into cash." In other words, he complained he would not know how to market his bookkeeping knowledge after he acquired it. So that brought up another problem which had to be solved. With the aid of a young woman typist, clever at hand lettering, and who could put the story together, a very attractive book was prepared describing the advantages of the new system of bookkeeping. The pages were neatly typed and pasted in an ordinary scrapbook, which was used as a silent salesman with which the story of this new business was so effectively told that its owner soon had more accounts than he could possibly handle. There are thousands of people all over the country who need the services of a merchandising specialist capable of preparing an attractive brief for use marketing personal services. The aggregate annual income from such a service might easily exceed that received by the largest employment agency, and the benefits of the service might be made far greater to the purchaser than any to be obtained from an employment agency. The idea here described was born of necessity to bridge an emergency which had to be covered, but it did not stop by merely serving one person. The woman who created the idea has a keen imagination. She saw in her newly born brainchild the making of a new profession, one that is destined to render valuable service to thousands of people who need practical guidance in marketing personal services. Spurred to action by the instantaneous success of her first prepared plan to market personal services, this energetic woman turned next to the solution of a familiar problem for her son, who had just finished college but had been totally unable to find a market for his services. The plan she originated for his use was the finest specimen of merchandising of personal services I have ever seen. When the plan book had been completed, it contained nearly 50 pages of beautifully typed, properly organized information, telling the story of her son's native ability, schooling, personal experiences, and a great variety of other information too extensive for description. The plan book also contained a complete description of the position her son desired, together with a marvelous word picture of the exact plan he would use in filling the position. The preparation of the plan book required several weeks' labor, during which time its creator sent her son to the public library almost daily to procure data needed in selling his services to best advantage. She sent him also to all the competitors of his prospective employer and gathered from them vital information concerning their business methods, which was of great value in the formation of the plan he intended to use in filling the position he sought. When the plan had been finished, it contained more than half a dozen very fine suggestions for the use and benefit of the prospective employer. The suggestions were put into use by the company. One may be inclined to ask, why go to all this trouble to secure a job? The answer is straight to the point. Also, it is dramatic, because it deals with a subject which assumes the proportion of a tragedy with millions of men and women whose sole source of income is personal services. The answer is, doing a thing well never is trouble. The plan prepared by this woman for the benefit of her son helped him get the job for which he applied at the first interview at a salary fixed by himself. Moreover, and this too is important, the position did not require the young man to start at the bottom. He began as a junior executive at an executive's salary. Why go to all this trouble, do you ask? Well, for one thing, the planned presentation of this young man's application for a position clipped off no less than 10 years of time he would have required to get to where he began, had he started at the bottom and worked his way up. The idea of starting at the bottom and working one's way up may appear to be sound, but the major objection to it is this. Too many of those who begin at the bottom never manage to lift their heads high enough to be seen by opportunity, so they remain at the bottom. It should be remembered also that the outlook from the bottom is not very bright or encouraging. It has a tendency to kill off ambition. We call it getting into a rut, which means that we accept our fate because we form the habit of daily routine, a habit that finally becomes so strong we cease to try to throw it off. And that is another reason why it pays to start one or two steps above the bottom. By so doing, one forms the habit of looking around, of observing how others get ahead, of seeing opportunity, and of embracing it without hesitation. Dan Halpin is a splendid example of what I mean. During his college days, he was manager of the famous 1930 National Championship Notre Dame football team when it was under the direction of the late Knute Rockne. Perhaps he was inspired by the great football coach to aim high and not mistake temporary defeat for failure, just as Andrew Carnegie, the great industrial leader, inspired his young business lieutenants to set high goals for themselves. At any rate, young Halpin finished college at a mighty unfavorable time, when the Depression had made jobs scarce. So, after a fling at investment banking and motion pictures, he took the first opening with a potential future he could find: selling electrical hearing aids on a commission basis. Anyone could start in that sort of job, and Halpin knew it. but it was enough to open the door of opportunity to him. For almost 2 years he continued in a job not to his liking, and he would never have risen above that job if he had not done something about his dissatisfaction. He aimed first at the job of assistant sales manager of his company and got the job. That one step upward placed him high enough above the crowd to enable him to see still greater opportunity. Also, it placed him where opportunity could see him. He made such a fine record selling hearing aids that A.M. Andrews, chairman of the board of the Dictograph Products Company, a business competitor of the company for which Halpin worked, wanted to know something about that man, Dan Halpin, who was taking big sales away from the long-established Dictograph Company. He sent for Halpin. When the interview was over, Halpin was the new sales manager in charge of the Acousticon division. Then, to test Halpin's mettle, Mr. Andrews went away to Florida for 3 months, leaving him to sink or swim in his new job. He did not sink. Knute Rockne's spirit of all the world loves a winner and has no time for a loser inspired him to put so much into his job that he was recently elected vice president of the company and general manager of the Acousticon and Silent Radio division, a job which most men would be proud to earn through 10 years of loyal effort. Halpin turned the trick in little more than 6 months. It is difficult to say whether Mr. Andrews or Mr. Halpin is more deserving of eulogy, for the reason that both showed evidence of having an abundance of that very rare quality known as imagination. Mr. Andrews deserves credit for seeing in young Halpin a go-getter of the highest order. Halpin deserves credit for refusing to compromise with life by accepting and keeping a job he did not want. And that is one of
And most people, that's where they mess up at. They know they hate the job they at, but yet they settle. All you gotta do is want some shit and work towards it. That's it, and you gonna get it every single time. You know, especially if you know what you want. Like, and you got focus. You can be consistent. Like, you can have whatever it is in this planet that whatever it has to offer. Like by having the imagination to want more. Most people don't want shit for themselves. That's why they ain't got shit. They'll judge any and everybody who do got something like that. Most people hate on celebrities, but most celebrities wanted to be somebody and they became somebody. And then you got the people who never became shit want to just judge the other people. So I'm like, I don't want to be no celebrity. I don't care about no fame, but I do want to spread this message. Get money. Like if that's my message to you, is to get you some money, not just no thousands of dollars. Because we can all be wealthy. We can all be rich. Like so, yeah. Think and grow rich.
major points I'm
I ate
trying
it
to
all.
emphasize through this entire philosophy. That we rise to high positions or remain at the bottom because of conditions we can control if we desire to control them. I'm also trying to emphasize another point, namely that both success and failure are largely the results of habit. I have not the slightest doubt that Dan Halpin's close association with the greatest football coach America ever knew planted in his mind the same brand of desire to excel which made the Notre Dame football team world famous. Truly, there is something to the idea that hero worship is helpful, provided one worships a winner. Halpin tells me that Rockne was one of the world's greatest leaders of men in all history. My belief in the theory that business associations are vital factors, both in failure and in success, was recently demonstrated when my son Blair was negotiating with Dan Halpin for a position. Mr. Halpin offered him a beginning salary of about one-half what he could have gotten from a rival company. I brought parental pressure to bear and induced him to accept the place with Mr. Halpin because I believe that close association with one who refuses to compromise with circumstances he does not like is an asset that can never be measured in terms of money. The bottom is a monotonous, dreary, unprofitable place for any person. That is why I have taken the time to describe how lowly beginnings may be circumvented by proper planning. Also, that is why so much space has been devoted to a description of this new profession, created by a woman who was inspired to do a fine job of planning because she wanted her son to have a favorable break. With the changed conditions ushered in by the world economic collapse, came also the need for newer and better ways of marketing personal services. It is hard to determine why someone had not previously discovered this stupendous need, in view of the fact that more money changes hands in return for personal services than for any other purpose. The sum paid out monthly to people who work for wages and salaries is so huge that it runs into hundreds of millions and the annual distribution amounts to billions. Perhaps some will find in the idea here briefly described the nucleus of the riches they desire. Ideas with much less merit have been the seedlings from which great fortunes have grown. Woolworth's 5 and 10 cent store idea, for example, had far less merit, but it piled up a fortune for its creator. Those seeing opportunity lurking in this suggestion will find valuable aid in the chapter on organized planning. Incidentally, an efficient merchandiser of personal services would find a growing demand for his services wherever there are men and women who seek better markets for their services. By applying the mastermind principle, a few people with suitable talent could form an alliance and have a paying business very quickly. One would need to be a fair writer with a flair for advertising and selling, one handy at typing and hand lettering, and one should be a first-class business getter who would let the world know about the service. If one person possessed all these abilities, he might carry on the business alone until it outgrew him. The woman who prepared the personal service sales plan for her son now receives requests from all parts of the country for her cooperation in preparing similar plans for others who desire to market their personal services for more money. She has a staff of expert typists, artists, and writers who have the ability to dramatize the case history so effectively that one's personal services can be marketed for much more money than the prevailing wages for similar services. She is so confident of her ability that she accepts as the major portion of her fee a percentage of the increased pay she helps her clients to earn.
If you're
It
new to
must
the
not be
live, make
supposed
sure you give
that
this
her
video
plan
a
merely
thumbs up.
consists of clever
Appreciate it.
salesmanship, by which she helps men and women to demand and receive more money for the same services they formerly sold for less pay. She looks after the interests of the purchaser as well as the seller of personal services, and so prepares her plans that the employer receives full value for the additional money he pays. The method by which she accomplishes this astonishing result is a professional secret which she discloses to no one excepting her own clients. If you have the imagination and seek a more profitable outlet for your personal services, this suggestion may be the stimulus for which you have been searching. The idea is capable of yielding an income far greater than that of the average doctor, lawyer, or engineer whose education required several years in college. The idea is saleable to those seeking new positions in practically all positions calling for managerial or executive ability, and those desiring rearrangement of incomes in their present positions. There is no fixed price for sound ideas. Back of all ideas is specialized knowledge. Unfortunately, for those who do not find riches in abundance, specialized knowledge is more abundant and more easily acquired than ideas. Because of this very truth, there is a universal demand and an ever-increasing opportunity for the person capable of helping men and women to sell their personal services advantageously. Capability means imagination, the one quality needed to combine specialized knowledge with ideas in the form of organized plans designed to yield riches. If you have imagination, this chapter may present you with an idea sufficient to serve as the beginning of the riches you desire. Remember, the idea is the main thing. Specialized knowledge may be found just around the corner. Any corner. Chapter 6, Imagination, the Workshop of the Mind. The fifth step toward riches. The imagination is literally the workshop wherein are fashioned all plans created by man. The impulse, The desire is given shape, form, and action through the aid of the imaginative faculty of the mind. It has been said that man can create anything which he can imagine. Of all the ages of civilization, this is the most favorable for the development of the imagination, because it is an age of rapid change. On every hand, one may contact stimuli which develop the imagination. Through the aid of his imaginative faculty, man has discovered and harnessed more of nature's forces during the past 50 years than during the entire history of the human race previous to that time. He has conquered the air so completely that the birds are a poor match for him in flying. He has harnessed the ether and made it serve as a means of instantaneous communication with any part of the world. He has analyzed and weighed the sun at a distance of millions of miles, and has determined through the aid of imagination the elements of which it consists. He has discovered that his own brain is both a broadcasting
What's up,
and a
Juju
receiving
West?
station for the vibration of thought, and he is beginning now to learn how to
How you
make
doing
practical
today, my
use of
brother?
this discovery. He has increased the speed of locomotion until he may now travel at a speed of more than 300 miles an hour. The time will soon come when a man may breakfast in New York and lunch in San Francisco. Man's only limitation, within reason, lies in his development and use of his imagination. He has not yet reached the apex of development in the use of his imaginative faculty. He has merely discovered that he has an imagination and has commenced to use it in a very elementary way. Two forms of imagination. The imaginative faculty functions in two forms. One is known as synthetic imagination and the other as creative imagination. Synthetic imagination. Through this faculty, one may arrange old concepts, ideas, or plans into new combinations. This faculty creates nothing. It merely works with the material of experience, education, and observation with which it is fed. It is the faculty used most by the inventor, with the exception of the genius who draws upon the creative imagination when he cannot solve his problem through synthetic imagination. Creative imagination. Through the faculty of creative imagination, the finite mind of man has direct communication with infinite intelligence. It is the faculty through which hunches and inspirations are received. It is by this faculty that all basic or new ideas are handed over to man. It is through this faculty that thought vibrations of others are received. It is through this faculty that one individual may tune or communicate with the subconscious minds of other men. The creative imagination works automatically in the manner described in subsequent pages. This faculty functions only when the conscious mind is vibrating at an
Make sure you give
exceedingly
this video a
rapid
thumbs
rate,
up if you're new
as
to
for
the channel.
example when the conscious mind is stimulated through the emotion
If
of a
this your
strong
first time
desire.
listening to Think and Grow
The
Rich,
creative faculty
let us
becomes
know in the
more alert,
comments if you
more
listened to
receptive to
this book, you
vibrations
read
from the
this book
source of
before.
tension in
Let me know in
proportion
the
to its
comments.
development through use.
Let me know what
This
y'all think of
statement
this
is
book as well.
significant.
I know y'all
Ponder
ain't
over
here.
it before passing
Might as
on.
well.
Keep in mind as you follow
Interact
these
with your boy.
principles that the entire story of how one may convert desire into money cannot be told in one statement. The story will be complete only when one has mastered, assimilated, and begun to make use of all the principles. The great leaders of business, industry, finance, and the great artists, musicians, poets, and writers became great because they developed the faculty of creative imagination. Both the synthetic and creative faculties of imagination become more alert with use, just as any muscle or
What's
organ
up
of
with
the
you
body
dances
develops
tonight?
through use.
I
Desire
already
is
know you
only
read
a
it before.
thought, an impulse.
This ain't
It
even
is
your first
nebulous
time
and
in the
ephemeral.
chat, so
It
shout
is
out to you for
abstract
coming back.
and of no value
Hey, I
until
always
it has been
appreciate those who come
transformed
back
into
to
its
the channel.
physical counterpart. While the synthetic imagination is the one which will be used most frequently, in the process of transforming the impulse of desire into money, you must keep in mind the fact that you may face circumstances and situations which demand use of the creative imagination as well. Your imaginative faculty may have become weak through inaction. It can be revived and made alert through use. This faculty does not die, though it may become quiescent through the lack of use. Center your attention, for the time being, on the development of the
Those
synthetic
grown-ups lacking
imagination, because
imagination.
this is the faculty which
That's
you
why
will
they
use
can't
more
create nothing
often
for
in the
themselves.
process of converting desire into money. Transformation of the intangible impulse of desire into the tangible reality of money calls for the use of a plan or plans. These plans must be formed with the aid of the imagination, and mainly with the synthetic faculty. Read the entire book through, then come back to this chapter and begin at once to put your imagination to work on the building of a plan or plans for the transformation of your desire into money. Detailed instructions for the building of plans have been given in almost every chapter. Carry out the instructions best suited to your needs. Reduce your plan to writing, if you have not already done so. The moment you complete this, you will have definitely given concrete form to the intangible desire. Read the preceding sentence once more. Read it
Exactly.
aloud, very slowly,
I got
and as you do so,
seven kids.
remember that the
So their
moment you reduce the
imaginations,
statement of your desire
imaginations
and a
is just
plan for
all
its
around me.
realization
Like,
to writing,
then I'm a big
you
kid
have
myself.
actually taken
So
the
like my
first of a
imagination
series
has
of
always
steps
stuck
which will
with me
enable
no
you to
matter what.
convert the
So
thought into its
I always
physical
been able to
counterpart.
manifest something.
The earth on which you live, you yourself, and every other material thing are the result of evolutionary change, through which microscopic bits of matter have been organized and arranged in an orderly fashion. Moreover, and this statement is of stupendous importance, this earth, every one of the billions of individual cells of your body and every atom of matter, began as an intangible form of energy. Desire is thought impulse. Thought impulses are forms of energy. When you begin with the thought impulse, desire to accumulate money, you are drafting into your service the same stuff that nature used in creating this earth and every material form in the universe, including the body and brain in which the thought impulses function. As far as science has been able to determine, the entire universe consists of but two elements, matter and energy. Through the combination of energy and matter has been created everything perceptible to man, from the largest star which floats in the heavens down to and including man himself. You are now engaged in the task of trying to profit by nature's method. You are sincerely and earnestly, we hope, trying to adapt yourself to nature's laws by endeavoring to convert desire into its physical or monetary equivalent. You can do it. It has been done before. You can build a fortune through the aid of laws which are immutable, but first you must become familiar with these laws and learn to use them. Through repetition and by approaching the description of these principles from every conceivable angle, the author hopes to reveal to you the secret through which every great fortune has been accumulated. Strange and paradoxical as it may seem, the secret is not a secret. Nature herself advertises it in the earth on which we live, the stars, the planets suspended within our view, in the elements above and around us, in every blade of grass, and in every form of life within our vision. Nature advertises this secret in the terms of biology, in the conversion of a tiny cell so small that it may be lost on the point of a pin into the human being now reading this line. The conversion of desire into its physical equivalent is certainly no more miraculous. Do not become discouraged if you do not fully comprehend all that has been stated. Unless you have long been a student of the mind, it is not to be expected that you will assimilate all that is in this chapter upon a first reading. But you will, in time, make good.
That's why it's important. Like when you read a book, you can't just read that book once when it's like a book like this, because you're not going to understand it the first time, the first go around. Me, like I'm a student of the mind. I study the mind. So like I don't know how many times I don't listen to this book, but each time I learn something new. Like so, no matter how many times I've read it before, like the next time I read it, it's gonna be something like, oh shit, like it spark a different thought, spark a different concept in my head, whatever. Like, so this book is truly a powerful book. Like, you know, the rich, wealthy people, they've been having this book for years. Like, just, you know, like he said, it ain't even no secret. Like, you could think and get whatever you want. Most people just don't think. Like, me, I'm a person who, if we in a relationship together, I want to know all the time what's on your mind, what you thinking about. And you know, most of the time the answers I get, nothing. Like, what you mean nothing? Like, how you not thinking anything? Like, we think over like 6,000, between 6,000 and 60,000 thoughts a day. Like, most people, they don't even know what they thinking about. They just on their mind just drifting, like they just on autopilot. Like, so this book, we probably not. Well, I'm not gonna probably finish this book because I want to read other books. I want to add other books. So, and even though this is an everyday thing, it's an every night thing. There is no rush. It is some other books I want to listen to. Like, I, as a person, you don't have to read. I mean, as a person who read books a lot, like I've learned this over time. Like, you don't have to read a book from the front page to the last page. Like, most of the times I read a book, like I just pick it up, take a few deep breaths, and I just open up to a random page, and it always got a message for me. So, like, listening to audio books, those is different. Like, but I can always rewind forward, like, and do whatever the fuck I want. But this book is definitely funny. It's interesting. Is you can learn something. You can grow from this. But most people don't like to read books, and not most people, most black people. That's a shame. Like, cause I'm black and I'm from the hood, but I always was quick to pick up a book. I was all. It was. He mentioned like how those who study at home, when they're like you going through school, the ones with the kids who took the extra time to study at home, those is the leaders. I was that kid. Like, I was so interested in like just learning and like being ahead of my class and like being ahead of just other students, my peers. Like, that stuck with me through life. Like, I'm quick to pick up a book. Like, I'm quick to just listen to an audio book, like, randomly, and like I probably won't even finish it, but I'll just and then I'll go and listen to another book. Like, but there's some books that I listen to all the way through. I read them all the way through. Think and Grow Rich is one of those books. Like, I don't know if I ever read it from beginning to the end. I don't know if I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I got all the information out of it. I mean, not all of the information, but like as far as from where I am on my journey now, like I learned like I'm an expert at getting money. I'm an expert at manifesting. Like, I'm an expert at the law of attraction, spirituality. Like, so yeah, I mean, I know somebody out there who probably can get attached to this book just like I did, like in 2018, 2017. Like, this book truly changed my life. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like, cause I was poor. Like, I was living in a trash trailer. Like, shit, every time it rained, it would flood. Like, shit, cool. I'm gonna be checking in and see what's on your live. Get some jewels, for sure, for sure. But like I said, the book club thing is gonna be a nightly thing. Like, when I hop on live during the daytime, that probably be some random shit. But as y'all can see, I post a lot of celebrity shit, and a lot of times it's bullshit, like, because it ain't got nothing to do with evolving spiritually and none of that. But that's what is growing my channel. And it's like I'm calculating, like I'm strategically posting these videos that I'm posting because it's bringing certain type of individuals. Like, sometimes I bring in a few trolls, or my troll attract. I mean, my channel will attract a few trolls, but overall, it's level-headed thinking people. It's people who trying to get rich, trying to get wealthy. People who trying to evolve. Like, they not like your average person. So for the past 2.5 months, my channel has grown tremendously. Like, for real. Actually, within the past 28 days, like, my channel has grown like the biggest. So I didn't gain like 7,000 subscribers in the 28 days, almost 3,000 views. Like all I need is to truly get my watch time hours up, and that's why I'm getting on live every day. Cause it as much people as be in my lives over time, like then the quicker it is gonna take me to get my public watch time hours up to get monetized. So that's what it's about: getting rich, getting wealthy. I'm trying to get rich off YouTube too. Like I already know the secret, I already know the sauce. I'm just trying to use this as another thing to get me to my millions and my billions. Like so, high five to that for sure. But I ain't every time I meditate and I get on live, time seems to go by quick, seems to fly. I didn't think I was gonna be on here long tonight, but I'm already past the hour. It's like shit. I might as well keep going. Like shit. I ain't in no rush to do nothing except go to sleep, go lay down. Like, 'cause that's truly what I'm gonna do, and then wake up and do the same thing on repeat. Post on YouTube, post on my community. I love like seeing like before. I'm telling you, in 2017, I started this YouTube channel. I didn't have no people on my comments. I have no type of views. I had no type of nothing, no type of life. As soon as I started posting them shorts every day, thousands of people have been coming, commenting like every single day, every hour. It's like thousands of comments, and I'm like, oh shit, like I ain't never had no type of social media like that was this popping. Not even Instagram when I had like 30 some thousand Instagram. I mean, my Instagram was popping in like 2018, but from 2019 to 2022, my shit was just on a downfall. Like my shit, I wasn't getting seen. My shit seemed like it was shadow banned. Like so, once my shit got hacked and it got took away, I'm like, it made me focus on YouTube. So I put all my focus and energy on here, and then, like I said, it's been growing tremendously. So with the focus I got now, like you gonna be seeing me a lot in 2022. I'm telling you, thousands of videos. Like every day is a different live, unless something happened in my day where I can't hop on live, cause then I don't want to burn myself out as well. But as far as posting every single day, like that's what I'm gonna be on. Like hopping on live sometimes multiple times throughout the day. Like, cause I have a mission, I have a goal, and I can visualize my success. I'm already monetized. I'm just waiting on YouTube to clear my numbers, like my hours. So however long they take, then hey, we can start collecting checks. But until then, I'ma just keep putting in this work. I'ma just keep getting on this live, like telling my story, being honest and open, like giving Jews dropping game like shit. Somebody gonna want to listen. Somebody gonna want to watch. It's, like I said, 10,000 subscribers for me. Like thankful, thankful for every and each and every one of y'all. Now I just need like at least 1,000 people of those subscribers to just be in my live. Like I got the people, they're active. It ain't like they just go subscribers. Like nah, these people's viewing shit, watching videos, commenting on videos, posts, like liking, like so. I just need at least 1,000 people like to find time to hop on my live at one time, and like then they could just all get hooked. Like just every time I hop on here, it's at least 1,000 people. Then that's gonna run my watch time hours up quicker. Like that's what matters now. Most people want shit to happen overnight, want it to come quick, but not me. Do you meditate before you go live? Yep, I surely do meditate before I go on live every time. Right? And that like that's is I'm building a habit doing that. It's just as well like getting on live every day. Like I had to build that type of habit up because at first I wasn't comfortable with being seen. I'd rather be behind the scene. What's up, Shin? Uh, but now that when I meditate before I hop on live, like that should go quick. Like the hours seem to fly by. Like I'm able to keep up a conversation without like having to think of something to talk about. Like, so yeah, I definitely meditate before I hop on the live. Shit, I meditate when I wake up. Like, shit, I'm always meditating. Like things, books like Think and Grow Rich didn't teach me how to meditate, but it led me to think that way. Like, because I had a fucked up way of thinking in the past. Like, shit, I'm 31. I'll be 32 next month. Like, until the age of 28, I had a fucked up mentality because I was born into a world just like everyone else, where your parents pick your religion, your schools teach you what they think is education, but it's really not. Like your friends, like we all just following other people who don't really know who the fuck they is. Like I can assure you, none of most people I know, parents wasn't conscious. Like so when they woke up, like they was in some type of religion. Like they had some type of beliefs or some. I ain't gonna even call it false beliefs, but had some type of beliefs that truly don't align with my soul. Like my grandma and my Gigi, the way they raised me, that didn't align with who I was. But that's just what I was born into. So me, I had to unlearn all that shit. I had to refocus, rebrand. Like so, Think and Grow Rich definitely played a part in like making me become this person who I am today. Big part. Like so, I'm gonna continue to play a little bit more of this book. I'm gonna probably try to like get to an hour and a half, probably 2 hours. Like see if we can stretch it out to then. But yeah, this is an every night thing. Every night I'm on live. And every day I'm posting on YouTube. Like so y'all gonna see a lot of positive minds only. If this your first time in the live, my name is Kenneth. I'm from Gary, Indiana, but I live in Las Vegas. I'm a father of seven. I'm a Marine veteran. Like uh shit, I'm a spiritualist, life coach. I wear a lot of different hats, so and I'm a big fan of Nipsey. So you see this Crenshaw, because I was inspired by the Nip the Great. Much love, my dog. Much love to you too.
Yes.
Hey,
The principles which
Memphis, Young Dolph. I fuck with Young Dolph heavy. Like so, and I got some family in Memphis. Like Memphis is hot. I mean, I can't. I'm an outsider looking in. I don't know how hot it Memphis is, but just from just seeing internet and that shit seemed to be hot. But Memphis has always been a cool place to me. Like I got friends out there. They not. I don't know if they in Memphis, but they somewhere in Tennessee. But I've been to Memphis quite a few times, but never long enough to get involved in no shit. But shout out to Memphis. Hey, John Morant, like he going crazy. Hey, I ain't gonna say I'm a huge basketball fan because I feel like all that shit is just like fake. Meaning like they pick the teams who they want to win. Like, but like John Morant, like that dude is exciting to play. I want to see how his career go. Cause at the end of the day, even if they picking championships, those are real people. Like that, some of them people they showing you how like focused they is. Like they showing you like with the you could do anything you want in this life. I'm 5'7". I couldn't play basketball. Like shit, didn't sell drugs. Wasn't a rapper. I'm not a rapper. So I had to figure out like how was I gonna get rich? How was shit? I, I'm into stocks. I'm into crypto. I'm into NFTs. But before all of that shit, I had no idea what I was gonna do, like to get money. So, but listening to Think and Grow Rich and reading Think and Grow Rich, that let me know like I ain't have to start with nothing. All I had to start with was my imagination, and that's all. Like I said, I always had that. Like I was always able to visualize something good for myself. Most people, the way their life is so bad and turned out how it turned out, like they couldn't even picture some positive shit going their way. Every time, like you would say something positive around these type of people, they always got something negative to say because that's what they've been experiencing. That's what their program is. Like they programmed to think that way. They programmed to be that way. They ain't gotta stay that way. But you gotta wake up and realize, oh shit, I've been programmed. This ain't the life I wanna live. Like, hey, let's get back to this book.
Allah will open the way for
Hey, where my name?
understanding of imagination. Some of that we shall
Oh,
understand
I
as you
definitely ain't
read
going to
this
Memphis
philosophy
no
for the first
time
time.
soon.
Then, when you reread and study it,
Unless
you will
they got a
discover
check
that
for me,
some
but I
things
doubt
happen
it.
to
I ain't.
clarify it
But
and give you a broader understanding of the whole.
Dallas, Texas,
Above
hey,
all, do not
shout out to
stop or
Dallas.
hesitate in your study of these principles until you have read the book at least 3 times, for then you will not want to stop. How to make
Y'all see, he said read this mug at least 3 times, and then once you at least read it 3 times, you ain't gonna even want to stop reading it. Like I done read this mug more than 3 times. Like this book, like I said, was written in the early 1900s. This shit is over damn near 100 years old, basically. Like, but it still rings true today. Like, so you want to put that type of work. Yeah, you want to have that type of work. If you want a YouTuber, you got a podcast, you got some music, you want to, whatever you do, like, even if it's 100 years from now, like, you want to still ring true today. Like, a lot of shit don't last over the years. Like, time really tells, like, who's really real, who's really keeping it real, like, who's really, or who's lying. Napoleon Hill wasn't lying. Like, so read, think, and grow rich on your own. You ain't gotta just do it when I'm on hop on live like shit. You read this book on your own, and you ain't gotta read it all the way through from the beginning to the end. Just pick a page, and any book, shit, you could pick up the Bible and just any page, and it'll have a message for you. Most people don't like to read. I do not know why. Like what the fuck? I mean, I do because it makes you sleepy. Like but who don't like to sleep? I'd rather be reading a book and then falling asleep. So the last thing I read or the last thing I seen was something positive or something that sparked my imagination than be fucking watching love and hip hop all day. Like the fuck is that doing for me? Watching that shit keep you stuck in the same fucking spot. So me knowing like I'm not a person who trying to get stuck. I'm not trying to be living the same life I was living last year. Like I am today. Like if I'm in the same position, like something is wrong. If I'm still doing the same thing, if I'm still making the same amount of money as I did last year, I'm in the wrong. Like so, I never be in the wrong as long as I keep moving forward. As long as I always come back to think and grow rich, which also lets me know I can have whatever it is that I want, as long as I work for it. Like so, as long as I'm willing to work for whatever it is that I can visualize for myself, or whatever it is I can picture for myself, imagine, like I can have it, and that's why I want the world. Like that's why I want billions. Like, cause I know I can have it, and I know I got the time. Like, I'm not in the streets. My life is not in danger. Like, I don't drive crazy. I don't do like. So I got time. Most people don't. Most people say, "Oh, I don't know. You don't know if you're gonna live tomorrow." Me, I know I'm gonna be here. Like that's just because like I know who I am. Like I know like shit in my past lives I never used to live past 30. Like so I always had a fear of like dying early, but now I've escaped the fear of death. Like so nothing holds me back. Like shit. Your boy, y'all watching a multi-billionaire in the fucking beginning. I'm letting y'all know like shit. If you just continue to watch me and don't just watch me, apply everything you fucking hear. So you can be a billionaire and like shit or shit, or at least a multi-millionaire. Like, because we all can. Like we all have that ability. There's nothing holding you back but yourself. There's nothing that's gonna stop you but you. Like fuck everybody else's opinions. Fuck what they talking about. Fuck what they thinking about. If you tell them they goes and they laugh at you or they got something negative to say, cut their ass off. Like if you ain't got no team, do that shit by yourself. Your team will eventually come. The people that's for you will eventually come. Every time I cut somebody off in my life, the universe replaced it with somebody who was 10 times better. Like, so I never was the type of be like, oh, I want to keep this toxic ass motherfucker around me because they know who I am. They know my secrets. We got history. Nah, fuck you and them secrets. Like, nah, because I'd rather have peace. I'd rather have, like, I'd rather live my life how I want to live it without no type of restrictions. Like, so most people, they don't want to take that route. They don't got that much faith in themselves. I got hella faith in myself. Like, I'm hella confident in my life, what I know, what I've been through. Like, so knowing everything repeats in his life, like, I'ma just keep repeating the fucking same steps. So all I gotta do is just keep doing it better. Like, so that's what's up. I see. Hey, I'm just being my truest self, like just speaking from my highest self. That's, like I said, that's why I meditate before I get on live. So when I speak, I ain't just saying some dumb shit. I ain't just talking about nothing. Like, I want to be able to motivate somebody to get something. I want to be able to inspire like I was inspired. Like, shit, I want to be able to carry on the torch for uh, all money in, no money out. The marathon continues. Like, even though I ain't the next Nipsey, I'm not Nipsey. I won't ever claim to be, but like, I got a mindset like that. Like, I know who I am. Like, shit, I got some experience. I can put you on some game. Like, shit, I can get you. I can teach you some things. Like, and I'm still a student myself. I'm still growing myself. Like, the one thing I learned in this life, you never know everything. Like, so me knowing that, like, a lot of times people think like, oh, you think you would know it all. Like, I don't know shit. I just know what I know. Like I said, I know what I've been through. Like, I've learned lessons, and learning those lessons, I learned like what mistakes not to make, what not to do, what to do. Like, so if I see you make a mistake, I'm gonna try to help you. Like, cause I would have want that for myself, even though I didn't have that. Like, so let me get back to this book, because what I was just talking about had nothing to do with Think and Grow Rich.
Practical use of imagination. Ideas are the beginning points of all fortunes. Ideas are products of the imagination. Let us examine a few
Meditating help
well-known
you be able to
ideas which have yielded
sing.
huge
What else
fortunes,
help you?
with the hope that these illustrations will convey definite information.
Okay, let me ask you a question. You said meditating helped you to be able to be seen. What else helped you to be able to be comfortable behind camera? Meditating helped with honesty, all of that. Weed helps with it. But even like I've been smoking weed damn near my whole life, so like I'm just now getting on camera. So I ain't gonna say weed helped me get on camera. It was, you know what it was that helped me get on camera? Seeing this dude, like, I ain't gonna say I seen him blow up overnight, but I seen him constantly working every day, like posting shit on YouTube. And he said this one thing. He said, everybody that's on camera, everybody that's celebrity, they feel some type of way about how they look. They all feel like they got flaws. Fuck them flaws. Like, we all got some. Get your ass on camera. Like, stop worrying about how you look on camera. You look the same way as you do as you look in the mirror. Like, stop being subconscious about that shit. Like, we all look different. Ain't nobody on here judging on how I look. Like, what the fuck that? But that be how I be thinking, like, shit. Or how I used to think, because as a kid, what happened? When I would talk, people would say, oh, he has a gap. Like, that's what kids do. So that affected me, and it stood with me as I became an adult. Now I let that go. I don't give a fuck what a person say about my teeth. Like, I'm a grown ass man. I got kids who got gaps. So what I look like feeling some type of way about how I was born, how I came in this planet. Like, so I just like that dude. Like, when he said that, like, cause he don't look better than me. Like, I'ma just be honest. The nigga who said that, I'm like, yeah, you right. I look way better than you. Like, so I need to be on camera too. I need to stop letting people pass me up because I'm subconscious about how I look. Like, so I had some epiphanies. It was epiphanies that helped me get behind, like, get on camera. Having those different realizations, like, made me get on camera. But we did help a lot. I don't think I ever been on camera and I wasn't high. Like every time yeah, I always been high. But I got PTSD, so I need to smoke. Like, and my shit don't stop me. It don't make me lazy. Like shit, when I smoke, it make me talk more. Like so, knowing like it makes me talk more, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna use that time to get on camera, get behind camera because this is content. Like everybody can get paid off from YouTube. Everybody. Like so, knowing like I got two brothers who already been monetized. Like I'm the last one. Like so, shit, I've been procrastinating a lot. I've been not being consistent a lot. So I'm changing that up in 2022. Like I'm not letting myself hold me back no more. Like so, getting on camera, it's easy because I sit in this chair every single day. I get on the same computer every single day, and I got my phone in front of me, whether I'm on YouTube or social media. So my whole thing is, if I can do that every single day, then I can get on camera every day. Like, cause my looks ain't gonna change. Like, I'm not gonna change. Like, I still go out every day and I'm seen. Like, so the fuck, I'm not about to be hiding my face from the world because I got a gap. Like so, yeah, I'm not about to let no fears or subconscious traits that stemmed from childhood trauma stop me.
Concerning the method by which imagination may be used in accumulating riches. The Enchanted Kettle. 50 years ago, an old country doctor drove to town, hitched his horse, quietly slipped into a drugstore by the back door, and began dickering with a young drug clerk. His mission was destined to yield great wealth to many people. It was destined to bring to the South the most far-flung benefit since the Civil War. For more than an hour behind the prescription counter, the old doctor and the clerk talked in low tones. Then the doctor left. He went out to the buggy and brought back a large, old-fashioned kettle, a big wooden paddle used for stirring the contents of the kettle, and deposited them in the back of the store. The clerk inspected the kettle, reached into his inside pocket, took out a roll of bills, and handed it over to the doctor. The roll contained exactly $500, the clerk's entire savings. The doctor handed over a small slip of paper on which was written a secret formula. The words on that small slip of paper were worth a king's ransom. But not to the doctor. Those magic words were needed to start the kettle to boiling, but neither the doctor nor the young clerk knew what fabulous fortunes were destined to flow from that kettle. The old doctor was glad to sell the outfit for $500. The money would pay off his debts and give him freedom of mind. The clerk was taking a big chance by staking his entire life's savings on a mere scrap of paper and an old kettle. He never dreamed his investment would start a kettle to overflowing with gold that would surpass the miraculous performance of Aladdin's lamp. What the clerk really purchased was an idea. The old kettle and the wooden paddle and the secret message on a slip of paper were incidental. The strange performance of that kettle began to take place after the new owner mixed with the secret instructions an ingredient on which the doctor knew nothing. Read this story carefully. Give your imagination a test. See if you can discover what it was that the young man added to the secret message, which caused the kettle to overflow with gold. Remember, as you read, that this is not a story from Arabian Nights. Here you have a story of facts, stranger than fiction, facts which began in the form of an idea. Let us take a look at the vast fortunes of gold this idea has produced. It has paid and still pays huge fortunes to men and women all over the world who distribute the contents of the kettle to millions of people. The old kettle is now one of the world's largest consumers of sugar, thus providing jobs of a permanent nature to thousands of men and women engaged in growing sugarcane and in refining and marketing sugar. The old kettle consumes annually millions of glass bottles, providing jobs to huge numbers of glass workers. The old kettle gives employment to an army of clerks, stenographers, copywriters, and advertising experts throughout the nation. It has brought fame and fortune to scores of artists who have created magnificent pictures describing the product. The old kettle has converted a small southern city into the business capital of the South, where it now benefits directly or indirectly every business and practically every resident of the city. The influence of this idea now benefits every civilized country in the world, pouring out a continuous stream of gold to all who touch it. Gold from the kettle built and maintains one of the most prominent colleges of the South, where thousands of young people receive the training essential for success. The old kettle has done other marvelous things. All through the world depression, when factories, banks, and business houses were folding up and quitting by the thousands, the owner of this enchanted kettle went marching on, giving continuous employment to an army of men and women all over the world and paying out extra portions of gold to those who long ago
I
had
need that
faith in the
fucking kettle.
idea. If the product of that old brass kettle could talk, it would tell thrilling tales of romance in every language. Romances of love, romances of business, romances of professional men and women who are daily being stimulated by it. The author is sure of at least one such romance, for he was part of it. And it all began not far from the very spot on which the drug clerk purchased the old kettle. It was here that the author met his wife, and it was she who first told him of the enchanted kettle.
I got PTSD.
It was the product of that kettle they were drinking when he asked her to accept him for better or for worse. Now that you know the content of the enchanted kettle is a world-famous drink,
And that's my goal. My mission is accomplished, honestly. I can hop off live and I get back on, like, because all I need is one person to realize their potential, set some goals, and, like, learn something from, like, this live, what I was doing. Like, so, like I said, honestly, my mission is accomplished because that's all I wanted. All I needed was for one person for that to happen to. I don't need that to happen for like thousands of other people because there ain't no telling who you gonna affect. You gonna teach somebody about some goals. You gonna put somebody on about Earl Nightingale and Napoleon Hill. Like so, I not just affecting one person. Like, and if I do, like, imagine me doing this every day, and every day somebody's learning something, just one thing. Like, you can change the world. Like, even though I'm not trying to change the world, but that's how you change the world.
it is fitting that the author confess that the home city of the drink supplied him with a wife. Also, that the drink itself provides him with stimulation of thought without intoxication, and thereby it serves to give the refreshment of mind which an author must have to do his best work. Whoever you are, wherever you may live, whatever occupation you may be engaged in, just remember in the future, every time you see the words Coca-Cola, that its vast empire of wealth and influence grew out of a single idea, and that the mysterious ingredient the drug clerk Asa Candler mixed with the secret formula was imagination. Stop and think of that for a moment. Remember also that the
Did you hear that? What it took, the guy who created Coca Cola, which we all drunk at least one time in my life. I mean, multiple times. Like, came from one idea. Like, and that idea could have came to any other person. But when you get an idea, like, you gotta capitalize off that. Like, imagine how much one idea made this guy. Like, and imagine how many, like, just you having ideas, like how many ideas you could have got paid off. Yet you let those ideas go to somebody else. Like, we all, that's all happened to at least us one time where we had some type of idea and somebody did something else and we're like, hey, that was my idea. Like, but yeah, because you didn't put the work in. And even if somebody did create your idea, you still supposed to do it. Like, cause you're gonna have your own way of doing things. So
15 Steps to Riches described in this book were the media through which the influence of Coca-Cola has been extended to every city, town, village, and crossroads of the world. and that any idea you may create, as sound and meritorious as Coca-Cola, has the possibility of duplicating the stupendous record of this worldwide thirst killer. Truly, thoughts are things, and their scope of operation is the world itself. What I would do if I had $1,000,000. This story proves the truth of that old saying, where there's a will, there's a way. It was told to me by that beloved educator and clergyman, the late Frank W. Gonzalez, who began his preaching career in the Stockyards region of South Chicago. While Dr. Gonzalez was going through college, he observed many defects in our educational system, defects which he believed he could correct if he were the head of a college. His deepest desire was to become the directing head of an educational institution in which young men and women would be taught to learn by doing. He made up his mind to organize a new college in which he would carry out his ideas without being handicapped by orthodox methods of education. He needed $1,000,000 to put the project across. Where was he to lay his hands on so large a sum of money? That was the question that absorbed most of this ambitious young preacher's thought. But he couldn't seem to make any progress.
Not to cut the story off on a preacher, but that has been like an hour of the book. That's what I've been doing, like just letting the hour play, and then like just hopping off the live after that because I don't want to, like I said, burn myself out. I don't want to burn y'all out. I don't even know how many people was truly in the live as well. Like so, thank you guys for tuning in with me. Like I said, I am here every night. Like I try to. I don't know if I should try to hop on live earlier, like or like stay at the same time, but the goal is to do this every single night. At least play like one book, like so, and hopefully at least one person can learn something. So, like I said, thank you guys for tuning in. Peace. Love you guys. We out.